Happy Wednesday once again, Wilmington, Ohio, Clinton County, 45177. Somebody pointed out, somebody I respect, and I have stated that working on my profanity is one of my goals. And to those who watch and cringe when I curse, my apologies. Sometimes I get a little passionate about things, and that's just one of the demons that I need to fight. Really, it is. Um, Anger and passion mixed. Uh, I don't know. It's an outlet, and it's therapy for me. So um, I'm going to work on it, as I've stated to my friend. I don't know if this thing is running slow, but I'm seeing some lagging. So unpacking some of this RICO, I read some of it. Um, I'm throwing some flags up. So the chief deputy who made the claims, um, myself, if I'm looking at this, from the perspective of um, the county and their legal representation myself. So keep in mind, this is a chief deputy. He knows the job criteria. He knows his. I would like to think he knows his capabilities and his abilities inside and out. So he states in 2019 he finds all this information that's very damning and very sensitive and criminal and harmful to people. Okay. He then proceeds to go to his sheriff and asked to go forward and with an investigation. Sheriff says no. That's a problem with me. Why would he say no? Um, I would love to know or have more details about that. Perhaps he had more information and, hey, let's hold back a little bit. I've got something that I'm working on as well. Then he states he has this critical evidence and he keeps it in his own personal safe. That's a problem. Any type of evidence like that needs to be tagged, bagged, and placed into evidence and logged and things of that nature. So failing to follow, I'm hoping there's a procedure in order um, uh, to what you do with evidence. Chains of custody, how it's to be logged, who logs it, a custodian. There's all. I bet there is. So the handling of this critical information that he says he has, I got a problem with that. But then he says it's harmful to people. Okay, and he sits on that for 5 years. This is 2014, folks. 19, 20 to 1, 2, 3 to 4. That's 5 years. So he's sitting on sensitive information that could hurt people, and he claims it's harmful to people. So my question is, from 2019 to 2024, how many people were harmed? Well, if the answer is no one, that kind of blows that statement completely out of the water, doesn't it? If no one's been harmed in 5 years, the likelihood of someone being harmed probably slim to nil. So there's that. But then if he's right, he sits on this and says nothing. So he's risking harm to people because of some sheriff pounding his chest, telling him not to investigate. Okay, so this chief deputy, he has the authority to do what? He can bypass his sheriff. He can jump right over top of his head, say, "Yeah, on you, buddy. I'm going to BCI myself, and I'm going to present this and request aid for investigation," which he has every right to do. And those two can lock horns, whether they like it or not. But if this evidence is presented, behind the sheriff's back, is that going to make for a comfortable workplace? Who cares? If I'm this chief deputy, I'm not here to appease you, Mr. Sheriff. I'm here for the people. I'm here to protect people. I'm not here to stand up in front of crowds and appease them with smiles and laughter and God only knows what else. That's your elected official's job. His job is to keep people safe. But he didn't. According to him, it's harmful to people. But then he mentions sex trafficking and all types of things in this allegation, in this claim. But me, right out of the gate, I'm looking at dereliction of duty, minimal, but then he mentions he was suspended several times. Well, based off, I'm playing devil's advocate here, and I'm going to do a flip side. Don't worry. But if he's stating he's been suspended and put on paid leave more than a few times, well, based off the actions that is being fed in your own claim, sir, I can see why. Because you literally put on a court document, you're admitting. I mean, just your acts alone that you're claiming. You're not protecting the people. You're appeasing your boss. And like I said, you have the every right to go above and beyond this boss, unless there's something more to this that needs unpacked that we're just not seeing, which is probably the case. So, flip side. So, here's this guy who presents this evidence, and the sheriff could be, I'm not saying he is, could be like, oh wait, yeah, we're not going to do that yet. Maybe he and the prosecutor have some backdoor deals going on. That happens. We know that just from living in Clinton County. That's a fact. They coddle each other. They hug each other secretly behind closed doors, and they make all kinds of stupid deals. That's just the way it is. And it's sad, but it happens. But he tells this guy, hey, don't proceed with this investigation where you say there's criminal acts. So did the sheriff view this? That's not mentioned, I don't believe. Or did he just say, I'm stroking people over here. Keep that to yourself right now. We'll let that cat out of the bag when we're ready. Was he told it was harmful to people? Could be. Or what people? Define people. Is it everyday citizens? Is it just the prosecutor and her dad or his dad? Whichever. Because if that's the case, okay, well, you want to risk those two. You know them. Possibly they're your buddies. Maybe you drink beers with them after work every day and go golfing with them. I don't know. But there's two people here in law enforcement positions that are risking harm to people. Have we lost sight on what your jobs curtails of? So I'm certain that nowhere in the job description of chief deputy and sheriff does it mention, let's risk the lives of people. Let's risk harm to them. No, absolutely not. So, or also, we know what happens when somebody scratches some people the wrong way. When this guy says, I'm going to run for sheriff. Well, by God, you are. I mean, we found out, myself and Daryl, when we found someone that was willing to run for sheriff, they shut that down real quick. And for no obvious reason. And if you expose sensitive matters, well, we get arrested. They degrade us. They discredit us. A Judge John Ruddick, decides he wants to take to social media and degrade and discredit little old me for mentioning what my opinion is him aiding a criminal financial institution. And then every lawyer that sees it, they see it. They recognize it and they know what he did. It was out of convenience. So, I mean, think about that. Just me. He just wants to mention me. And he said bad things about. Really? You're going to risk your ass. You're going to risk your bench, your gavel to mention me and use it in the context of I'm taking care, I'm looking out for my family. No, sir, you're a liar. You're a liar. And people that can see through your crap, they know it. I mean, the day after that, you should hear some of the lawyers or some of that guy's done. You can't do that and mask it under, hey, I'm taking up for my family. Why didn't you do it after the election? Really? Why did you and your son have great big ass 15 feet signs with your last name on it and his name, little bitty? So they seized through that crap. But he had to mention little old me out of the probably hundreds of thousands of cases and people calling him bad names. He just mentions me. Why? Then I was falsely arrested, discredited publicly. So kind of like the stuff that's going on in Highland County now. Maybe this deputy sheriff, maybe he lived in fear and finally said, you know what, I'm done. I'm no longer living under the this thumb of terror. I'm not going to do it. And when they find out this guy, hey, he's good people, he's going to run for sheriff, and all those good things that this sheriff's doing for you, they're gone. Could that be the case? My honest opinion, yeah, that's what I think. Because these are some dirty people. When you get people, and I mean, this is my opinion, when you get people that stuck in power like that for such a long time, they get comfortable. They get laxed. They do stupid things and get loose with their actions. Their moral compass astrays. It happens. It happens to the best of people. My opinion. I mean, so do I think they wanted this guy running for sheriff? No, they had to discredit and degrade him all they can, all they could. They don't want somebody like that running for sheriff. And that's what I believe. That's my opinion. But this is going to be a battle that's not going to be easily won because, this is just me, some poor little schmuck that just has an opinion. But if I can do what I just did in the matter of 11 minutes, imagine what a seasoned team of lawyers are going to do to this guy. So, Miss Oleski, I would prepare yourself and maybe listen. I mean, I'm sure you're going through these things in your head, I'm hoping you're asking your client these questions because I would. 5 years is a long time. And if it's harming to people, well, your client went 5 years harming people. Law enforcement's not supposed to do that. Then again, so did the sheriff. They're not supposed to do that. So do I think there's a lot of fish to unpack here? Yeah. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, and however, do I also believe that there's going to be a lot of stuff coming out here? Oh yeah. Absolutely. Do I also believe there's going to be one of these little RICOs finding its way to Clinton County? I'll bet the farm on it. I will bet the farm on it. If you are an official and live in Clinton County of any kind and you've told lies and you've done some shady stuff, I would probably be worried. I would. And no one's to blame but yourselves. No one else. I mean, you can't get mad at a good person, possibly a coworker or a person who just, we're sick of living this way. We're sick of seeing this, what used to be an amazing community, go to hell in a handbag. And that's, ladies and gentlemen, if you look up corrupt governments, that is the first thing, one of the first things that goes awry and just goes to hell in a handbag. That's your communities. Corruption causes the decaying of your communities. What's happening in Wilmington, Ohio? Tons of vagrants being shipped here. I've seen it with my own eyes. Don't tell me that I didn't see what I saw. I did. Van loads with brand new luggage, matching at that. So somebody's bringing them here for a reason. I mean, okay, are we now to say that where someone can go? No. I mean, are we now to say that a homeless person can't come to Wilmington and seek opportunity? No. But what I will tell you is this: if there's some sick piece of crap behind this and shipping them here and promising them things without the resources to do it, those are the people that need to rot in hell. Those are the people that need to go to jail. And I hope that's where they go. I really do. Because if you sit and think about that little issue, I mean, let's talk about it. I mean, I've actually spoke to some of these homeless people myself. As I stated in several other podcasts, my son would go out and aid in feeding them himself, not under the blanket of Sugar Tree Ministry, not under anybody's watchful eye. Not, I mean, he did it because he's a godly man, and he believes, and he preaches the gospel to these people. So, and one of the deaths, it bothered him. I don't know if you guys remember the little old man had the long beard and he lived over in a car over at Fisher's there. Um, my son helped him out a lot. I had to teach him a few things and not, hey, don't give me money because he's walking across the street and get him some beer. That's why he's there in the first place. I told him, hey, get him water and food, bust it up, and take it out of pack so he can't take it back. Force the man to drink and eat. And they found him dead in the field. That crushed my son for a week or two. I mean, it bothered him. But in any event, do I believe that's happening here? Human trafficking. Yes, I do. And do I believe that it has to do with insurances and people getting paid? Yes, I do. I certainly do. I will promote this now. Go right here to YouTube, pay $1.39 and play them and play this movie called Body Brokers. Oddly enough, it's a good movie, but oddly enough, and strangely enough, it's a true story, and it happened right here in Columbus, Ohio, right here. So, do I think it's migrated south an hour? I do. I certainly do. Do I think some of these courts are possibly involved? Do I think some of these the ministry is possibly involved? I think there's a lot of people involved here. I mean, and my opinion, because I think to myself, why are these people? Some of them from Cleveland, some of them from way up near the Pittsburgh border, some of them even out of state. Why are all these people and groups bypassing cities with far more resources than this little farm community? Now, is there someone behind the leadership here creating a need, creating a scenario where the government assistance might, hey, you have to have so many addicts or so many vagrants before you, who knows? But I know what I saw. I know what my children seen, and I know that if you want to go to UDF nowadays and sit on a bench and have yourself an ice cream, you no longer can. That's pretty sad. Do I think the relocation of criminals and vagrants, do I think that's a bad? Yes, I do. And I'll tell you why, because the law enforcement here are accustomed to working with and interacting with people they know. They know their backgrounds. A lot of them are repeat offenders, sadly, but they have an idea who they're dealing with. Families, they have families here, roots. So there's a commonality. There's a commonality between these two people. There's rapport of some kind. You have somebody that's coming from backstreet New Jersey or Detroit. You have no idea of what this person's background is. You have no idea of their capabilities, and that changes a scenario a great deal, because your reactions are going to be a whole lot different. It's going to be unpredictable. And if you bring people like that by the droves, well, then you've created a problem for your police officers. Then you've crushed the morale of your police officers. Then they no longer want to work, because I did see one time in Chief Craven's office where there was a stack of felonies, probably a foot high. And I'm not kidding you, a foot high. Yay high. I'm not kidding you. He says, Tony, those are all felonies that have been rejected by our law director, Brett Ruddick. Why? Are the police officers incompetent? Are they not doing what they're supposed to do? Do they need training? Was this law director catering to drug addicts? Ensuring that they didn't get felonies or what? I believe that. I certainly do. Because I'll tell you, I know Chief Cravens. I may not agree with a lot of things he says, but he's a freaking United States Marine, and therefore there's a respect that's going to exist no matter what. Because until you, my friend, have stepped out on those yellow footprints and walked across that parade deck and graduated, you'll never know what it's like. You can't. So there's that. Uh, so I've gotten an idea, and I've seen this stuff. I mean, so and I asked myself, I asked him, why are they not prosecuting these things? And he was like, I don't know, Tony. So hopefully, that's gotten better. That's changed. But again, this community has changed for the not for the better, for the worst. And that starts with the judicial system and how criminals are sentenced. But, you know, as stated, when you have local people who understand and know, hey, I don't want to go to jail, yada yada yada. You have some of these migrant vagrants or some of these uprooted and relocated vagrants. They don't care. They'll clog your system and they don't care. They'll get three hots and a cot and they're comfortable. And what's that doing to our local system? Well, it's draining on it, isn't it? And is that some of these possibly some of these officials creating that need to expand to get grants? You see what I mean here? So again, there's not a person in this world that's going to convince me that something shady is not going on in that area where these vagrants are concerned. You're never going to convince me, because I know that if I was in a situation like that, this would be the last place I wanted to come without having outside promises being made to me. Hey, you'll get a better life here. Oh, there's employment. Or, hey, there's the food kitchen. You can eat all day long. Yeah, you can set up tit cants on people's property. They don't care. Until they met Jane Johns. Yeah. You don't know Jane Johns and her mission as far as the fight of vagrancy. Well, go to Wilmington, Ohio Crime Concerns, and you'll see. And she's not wrong. There are people that are complaining about their properties being destroyed, being littered on. People complaining about brand new clothes being found. It's I don't know, but I've never met a homeless person or a vagrant. I'm maybe spoiled. She's finding brand new cans of food, brand new, sometimes bottles of water, brand new clothes in some of these homeless tent camps. Brand new food. So, I don't know. I forgot to tell you something Miss Jane found once. She was walking through and she found, and this was soon after the derailment up north, she found what's called a derailment device in a vagrant tent camp. It was reported, and then they said, "There's no way that was there. That was found. No way." And she reported it to the railroad company. The railroad company says, "Yeah, that's no, it's definitely not supposed to be there. This is an item that only certain people have within the railroad." So, was there another grand derailment planned here for Clinton County, Ohio? A lot of people forget about that. A derailment tool device. I mean, that's what it's meant to do. Through the railroad in case things get out of hand. They got to put a train down. That was found in a homeless tent camp here in Wilmington, Ohio. How in the hell did that not make national news? What say you? Oh, my goodness. Semper Fi and God bless.